The circular observation chamber of Council Station Alpha gleamed under the soft blue illumination of its ambient lighting system. Ambassador Zara of Vega Prime stood before the massive viewport, her four-fingered hands clasped behind her back as she gazed at the star-speckled expanse of space. 500 years of interstellar diplomacy had established protocols for almost every conceivable first contact scenario. But today's scheduled arrival was different. For the first time, the Galactic Council would welcome representatives from a species that had developed faster than light travel independently, humans from Earth. "The diplomatic vessel should be arriving within the hour." "Ambassador," said Kor, the station's chief engineer. His voice was a melodic trill that echoed slightly in the chamber. The Meridian engineer's exoskeleton clicked softly as he approached the viewport. "All preparations for the welcoming ceremony are complete." Zara nodded, her iridescent scales catching the light. "This is a momentous occasion. Kor, first contact protocols are the foundation of the Council's existence. We've guided 73 species into our galactic community through peaceful integration." Her voice carried the weight of centuries of diplomatic tradition. "Earth will be the 74th. Kor's compound eyes shifted, focusing on the distant stars. "They developed remarkably quickly. Our observers noted they went from primitive combustion engines to rudimentary space travel in less than a century. Which is precisely why the Council voted unanimously to extend an invitation now." Zara replied. "Species that advance so rapidly often develop problematic tendencies if left to evolve in isolation." The chamber doors slid open as other Council representatives filed in, 12 species, each distinctive in form and evolutionary path, but united under the banner of peaceful cooperation. They arranged themselves around the circular chamber, murmuring amongst themselves in anticipation of Earth's arrival. A soft chime resonated through the chamber, and the main display screen activated. The station's sensor officer, a Trilaxian with translucent skin that revealed the pulsing of its 3 hearts, manipulated the controls with practiced precision. "Ambassador, I'm detecting an approaching vessel exiting FTL at the designated coordinates," the officer announced. Zara straightened her ceremonial robes. "Excellent. On screen, please." The display flickered to life, showing a distant point of light growing steadily larger. As the object drew closer, however, the atmosphere in the chamber changed. What had been excited anticipation shifted to confused murmurs, then to alarmed whispers. "That cannot be the diplomatic vessel," Kor said, his voice suddenly tense. Instead of the expected small diplomatic shuttle, the approaching ship was massive, easily 3 times the size of standard Council diplomatic vessels. Its hull was not the gleaming white of peaceful envoys, but a dark, matte gray that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Most concerning were the unmistakable weapon emplacements visible along its hull, currently powered down, but clearly capable of devastating firepower. "Are we certain this is the Earth vessel?" Zara asked, unable to hide the alarm in her voice. The sensor officer's skin had paled to an almost transparent state. "Confirmed, Ambassador. It matches the signature transmitted in their acceptance of our invitation." Zara exchanged glances with the other Council representatives, seeing her own concern mirrored in their expressions. "What have we invited into our space?" she whispered. The ship's designation became visible as it drew closer. UES Vanguard. Not a diplomatic title, but something that sounded distinctly military. "Should we activate defensive protocols?" Kor asked, his exoskeleton now clicking rapidly in agitation. Zara hesitated. 500 years of peaceful first contacts had left the Council with minimal defensive capabilities. Their protocols were built on trust and transparency. "No," she finally decided. "We proceed as planned, but alert security to stand by and inform all representatives to remain cautious." As the Earth vessel approached the docking bay, Zara composed herself, drawing on centuries of diplomatic training. The Council had faced challenges before. Surely this was simply a cultural misunderstanding, not a threat. The docking procedure was executed with surprising precision. For such a large vessel, the UES Vanguard maneuvered with remarkable grace, connecting to the station's airlocks without so much as a tremor passing through the structure. "They've requested permission to board," the communications officer announced. "Grant it," Zara replied, her voice steady despite her inner turmoil. "And let us greet Earth's representatives as we would any new member of our galactic community." The airlock doors cycled open with deliberate slowness, and Zara led the delegation to the docking bay. As the inner doors finally parted, she found herself face to face with the humans for the first time. They were taller than expected, standing upright on two legs with bilateral symmetry, similar to several council species. What was unexpected was their attire. Instead of ceremonial garb or formal diplomatic uniforms, they wore what appeared to be military dress, crisp, dark uniforms adorned with insignia and badges that surely denoted rank and accomplishment in martial pursuits. At their head stood a broad-shouldered figure with a stern expression. His uniform bore more elaborate markings than the others, and he carried himself with unmistakable authority. "I am Captain Auric Stone of the United Earthship Vanguard," he announced, his voice deep and resonant. "On behalf of Earth and the United Earth Government, I extend greetings to the Galactic Council." Zara stepped forward, performing the traditional greeting gesture, arms spread wide, palms forward, symbolizing openness and lack of concealed weapons. "Captain Stone, I am Ambassador Zara of Vega Prime, current chair of the Galactic Council. We welcome you to Council Station Alpha." Captain Stone nodded and performed a different gesture, a sharp movement of his right hand to his forehead, before extending it toward Zara. She recognized it as a salute, a military courtesy rather than a diplomatic one. "We are honored to be here," Stone said, though his expression remained impassive. "We bring greetings and an eagerness to establish formal relations with the Council and its member worlds." "We had expected," Zara began, then paused, searching for diplomatic phrasing. "We had anticipated a vessel of more modest proportions for this initial meeting." A slight smile crossed Stone's face. "The Vanguard is our diplomatic vessel. Ambassador, we believe in making a proper first impression." "With respect, Captain, your diplomatic vessel appears to be heavily armed," Kor interjected, unable to contain himself. Stone turned his gaze to the engineer. "Of course it is. We would never send our representatives into unknown space unprotected. That would be irresponsible." He gestured to his crew. "Allow me to introduce my diplomatic team." The introductions proceeded, each human bearing military titles alongside diplomatic credentials. Most concerning was the weapons specialist, a stern-faced woman introduced as Lieutenant Commander Zhang, who spoke with unsettling enthusiasm about the Vanguard's defensive capabilities. "I assure you," Stone continued, seemingly oblivious to the discomfort of the Council representatives, "our weapon systems are currently in standby mode. We come in peace." "Yet you come armed for war," Zara observed. Stone's expression hardened slightly. "Ambassador, in our history, we've learned that true peace is maintained through strength. The ability to defend oneself is not contrary to peaceful intentions. It ensures them." The statement hung in the air, a philosophy so foreign to the Council's centuries of diplomatic tradition that no one immediately responded. "Perhaps," Zara finally said, regaining her diplomatic composure, "we should proceed to the formal welcoming ceremony. Your crew will be given quarters, and we can begin orientation to Council protocols tomorrow." Stone nodded. "We look forward to it. However, most of my crew will remain aboard the Vanguard. Only my core diplomatic team will require accommodations." This, too, was a departure from protocol, but Zara chose not to press the issue. As you wish, Captain. As they walked toward the main council chamber, Zara could not shake the feeling that this first contact was fundamentally different from any the council had experienced before. The humans moved with a precision that spoke of military discipline, their eyes constantly scanning their surroundings in what seemed to be security assessments, rather than curious exploration. "Your station is impressive," Stone remarked as they walked, "though I notice your defensive systems are minimal." "We have little need for extensive defenses," Zara replied. "The Council has maintained peace for 5 centuries. Stone's expression was unreadable. "Fascinating." The following day brought the formal diplomatic presentations, where each new species traditionally shared aspects of their culture and governance. The council chamber was filled to capacity, representatives from all member worlds eager to learn about Earth. Captain Stone stood before them, now dressed in what he called formal diplomatic attire, though it still bore a striking resemblance to a military uniform. "Earth was once divided into numerous nation-states," Stone explained, as holographic images of the blue-green planet appeared behind him. "We fought amongst ourselves for resources, territory, and ideological dominance. It was only when we faced extinction from our own weapons that we united." The images shifted to show devastated cities, the aftermath of what Stone called the Last War. From those ashes rose the United Earth Government, a system that recognized our warrior nature while channeling it toward productive ends. The hologram now showed gleaming cities, orbital stations, and finally, ships like the Vanguard. "Every citizen is trained in both civilian and military disciplines. Our doctors are also field medics. Our engineers can build bridges or dismantle enemy fortifications with equal skill." Murmurs ran through the council chamber. This integration of military and civilian life was unprecedented among peaceful council members. "And now," Stone continued, "we wish to demonstrate a cultural tradition, what we call a tactical dance. It showcases the discipline and unity that form the cornerstone of Earth society." Before Zara could object or clarify that physical demonstrations were not part of the protocol, 8 humans in form-fitting black uniforms entered the chamber. They arranged themselves in a precise formation and, at a command from Stone, began to move. What followed was unlike anything the council had witnessed. The humans moved with inhuman precision, their bodies flowing from one position to another in perfect synchronization. What started as something that might indeed be considered a dance quickly transformed into unmistakable combat maneuvers, strikes, blocks, and throws, executed with such speed and power that many council representatives drew back in alarm. The demonstration culminated with the 8 humans forming a defensive circle, producing small devices from hidden compartments in their uniforms that Zara immediately recognized as weapons. Though they did not activate them, the message was clear. "This," Stone announced as the demonstration concluded, "is how Earth maintains peace, through absolute readiness, perfect unity, and the capability to respond to any threat with overwhelming force." The silence that followed was deafening. Later that day, Dr. Lena Mayer, the Vanguard's chief medical officer, presented what was supposed to be a humanitarian aid demonstration. What began as an impressive display of advanced medical technology quickly shifted to field medicine under combat conditions, with Dr. Mayer explaining in clinical detail how Earth physicians could perform complex surgeries while under enemy fire. "Our medical corps can deploy anywhere within minutes," she explained, her hands moving with practiced efficiency as she demonstrated a procedure on a simulated patient. "We've developed techniques that integrate with our military operations seamlessly." "Dr. Mayer," Zara interrupted, "while your medical technology is impressive, the Council's focus is on preventative care and non-emergency medicine. We haven't had a major conflict requiring battlefield medicine in centuries." Dr. Mayer paused, her hands hovering over the simulation. "With respect, Ambassador, that seems short-sighted. Threats can emerge unexpectedly. We prefer to prevent threats through diplomacy, rather than prepare for their inevitability, Kor added. A noble sentiment, Dr. Mayer replied with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. But on Earth, we have a saying, hope for peace, prepare for war. The diplomatic sessions continued for 3 days. Each presentation from the humans, reinforcing the growing concern among council members. Earth's achievements were undeniably impressive. Their technological advancement, their unity of purpose, their efficiency. But underlying every demonstration was an unmistakable martial philosophy that ran counter to everything the Council stood for. On the 4th day, as Captain Stone was scheduled to present Earth's proposal for trade relations, alarms blared throughout the station. We have multiple unidentified vessels approaching at high velocity, the station's security chief announced, rushing into the council chamber. They're not responding to hails and have weapon systems active. The chamber erupted in panic. Most council species had never experienced a genuine security threat on this scale. How many vessels? Stone demanded, instantly alert, all pretense of diplomatic casualness vanishing. 7 ships, unknown configuration, the security chief replied, clearly struggling to maintain composure. Stone tapped a communication device on his wrist. Vanguard, this is Captain Stone. Battle stations. Prepare to defend the station. Captain, Zara protested. This is a diplomatic crisis. We should attempt communication, not... Her words were cut short as the station shuddered violently, lights flickering. That was weapons fire, Stone stated flatly. Ambassador, your station is under attack. We can discuss diplomatic niceties after we've survived. The main screen activated, showing the approaching vessels, sleek, predatory ships with glowing weapon ports. A transmission cut through the confusion, and a harsh voice filled the chamber. Council Station Alpha. This is General Malcor of the Pentar Dominion. Your time of peaceful delusion ends today. Surrender the station and prepare for integration into the Dominion. Zara stared at the screen in shock. The Pentar were a species from the outer reaches of the galaxy, known to the Council, but never considered a threat. They had always been isolationist, refusing Council membership but maintaining neutral relations. Who are they? Stone demanded. The Pentar, Kor explained, his voice trembling. A militant species from the galactic rim. They've never shown aggression toward the Council before. Stone's eyes narrowed as he studied the screen. Their ships are heavily armed but using outdated propulsion technology. Vulnerable at their engine nacelles. He turned to Zara. Ambassador, we can help. But I need your authorization to engage in Council space. Zara hesitated only briefly. Granted, Captain. Defend the station. Stone nodded and returned to his communication device. Vanguard, deploy defensive pattern Alpha. Target engine systems only. Disable, don't destroy, and get me a direct channel to the Pentar command ship. What followed was a display of military precision that left the Council representatives in stunned silence. The Vanguard, previously docked in a seemingly passive stance, suddenly came alive. Its weapon systems activated, but not in the indiscriminate barrage Zara had feared. Instead, precisely targeted energy pulses struck the Pentar vessel's engines and weapon systems, disabling them one by one without destroying them. On the main screen, General Malcor's face contorted in rage. What is this? The Council has no military capabilities. This is Captain Auric Stone of the United Earthship Vanguard, Stone replied, his voice calm, but carrying unmistakable authority. You are attacking a diplomatic station in violation of galactic law. Stand down immediately, or we will be forced to escalate our response. Humans, Malcor spat the word. We've heard of your kind, warriors playing at diplomacy. This doesn't concern you. This is between the Pentar and the weak Council species. You've made it our concern, Stone replied. Last warning, stand down. When Malcor responded with renewed attacks, The Vanguard demonstrated what Captain Stone had meant by escalation. With surgical precision, the Earth vessel systematically disabled the remaining Pentar ships, targeting not just engines, but communications arrays, weapon systems, and finally life support, though leaving it functioning at minimal levels. Within 10 minutes, the attack that had thrown the Council into panic was neutralized. The Pentar ships floated helplessly in space, disabled but intact, their crews alive but incapable of further aggression. Stone turned to face the Council representatives, many of whom were staring at him with a mixture of relief and newfound wariness. Ambassador Zara, the immediate threat has been contained. I suggest we establish a security perimeter and begin negotiations with the Pentar for their withdrawal. Zara found herself speechless. In 10 minutes, this human vessel had accomplished what the Council's minimal security forces could never have managed. They had neutralized a threat without a single casualty, a bloodless victory that somehow still felt distinctly militant. "Captain Stone," she finally said, "the Council owes you a debt of gratitude. Your intervention saved countless lives today." Stone inclined his head slightly. "We're allies now, Ambassador. Earth protects its allies." He paused, then added with unmistakable emphasis, "Always." The incident with the Pentar marked a turning point in the Earth delegation's visit. What had begun as diplomatic unease transformed into a complex reassessment of the Council's security policies. Captain Stone and his crew, initially viewed with suspicion for their military bearing, were now approached with cautious respect. In the days that followed, the Vanguard conducted patrols around Council Station Alpha, while diplomatic negotiations with the contained Pentar forces proceeded. General Malcor, facing the reality of his defeat, reluctantly agreed to withdraw from Council space under the watchful eye of the Earth vessel. "They've been planning this attack for months," Kor reported during an emergency council session. "Our intelligence networks completely missed the buildup of their forces." "Because we weren't looking," Zara admitted. "We've grown complacent in our peace." The council chamber, once a place of measured diplomatic discourse, now buzzed with anxious energy as representatives debated the implications of the Pentar attack and, more significantly, Earth's response to it. "The humans demonstrated remarkable restraint," noted the Trilaxian representative, whose transparent skin had finally returned to its normal hue after paling during the attack. "They could have destroyed the Pentar ships, but chose to disable them instead." "Restraint born of overwhelming superiority," countered another representative. "What happens when we disagree with Earth on a matter of policy? Will that same power be turned against us?" Zara raised her hand for silence. "We cannot judge Earth by a single incident, nor can we ignore what their intervention revealed about our own vulnerabilities. For centuries, we've built a galactic community based on diplomatic cooperation, assuming all species would eventually embrace our peaceful philosophy." "The Pentar clearly don't share that assumption," Kor interjected. "Nor, perhaps, do the humans," Zara continued. "But they've demonstrated a philosophy we haven't encountered before. Peace through strength, rather than strength through peace." She paused, looking around the chamber. "I believe we must consider adapting our approach." Meanwhile, aboard the Vanguard, Captain Stone reviewed the tactical data from the engagement with his senior staff. The Pentar ships were armed with disruptor technology, at least a century behind Earth standard, reported Lieutenant Commander Zhang. "If they'd been targeting us instead of the station, they wouldn't have penetrated our shields." "It's not the Pentar that concerned me," Stone replied, studying the holographic display showing the surrounding sector. "It's how vulnerable the Council is. They have minimal defenses, rudimentary early warning systems, and no unified response protocol for attacks." "They've never needed one," Dr. Mayer observed. 500 years of peace would make any civilization complacent." Stone's expression was thoughtful. "Or it would make them wise enough to recognize when their strategies need to evolve." He turned to his communications officer. Arrange a meeting with Ambassador Zara. Private, just the two of us. I think it's time for a frank discussion about Earth's role in the Council. The meeting took place in Zara's private quarters, a serene space designed to reflect the harmonious aesthetics valued by her species. Captain Stone, still in his uniform though without the ceremonial additions, seemed oddly at ease in the peaceful surroundings. Thank you for agreeing to meet privately, Ambassador, he began. I believe we need to speak candidly about the future relationship between Earth and the Council. Zara nodded, pouring a traditional welcoming beverage for both of them. I agree, Captain. Recent events have certainly changed the context of our discussions. Stone accepted the drink but didn't immediately taste it. Ambassador, when Earth received your invitation to join the Galactic Council, our government was divided on how to respond. Some argued we should send a traditional diplomatic envoy, small, unassuming, focused entirely on cultural exchange. As is customary, Zara noted. Yes, but others, myself included, argued that true diplomacy requires honesty about who we are. Stone's gaze was intense. Humans are explorers and builders, but we are also warriors. We've learned through bitter experience that peace is not the natural state of the universe. It must be earned, and then it must be defended. Through military might, Zara asked, trying to keep judgment from her voice. Through readiness, Stone corrected. The Vanguard isn't a warship, Ambassador. It's a multi-purpose vessel capable of scientific research, humanitarian aid, diplomatic transport, and yes, defense. He finally sipped the beverage. We could have hidden this aspect of ourselves, presented only the parts of human culture that align with Council philosophy. But that would have been dishonest, and poor groundwork for true alliance. Zara considered his words. The Council has maintained peace through diplomatic means for 5 centuries, Captain. And yet the Pentar nearly destroyed this station within minutes, Stone countered. Peace through diplomacy works only when all parties are committed to it. What the Council calls peace, the Pentar saw as weakness to be exploited. And what does Earth see? Zara asked quietly. Stone set down his drink. Potential. The Council has created something remarkable. Dozens of species working together, sharing knowledge, growing together. Earth wants to be part of that. But we also see naivety. The galaxy is vast, Ambassador, and not every species will be swayed by diplomatic overtures. So you propose what? That the Council militarize? Abandon 500 years of peaceful tradition? I propose balance, Stone replied. Earth doesn't want to militarize the Council. We want to protect it, to be the shield that allows your diplomatic traditions to continue. He leaned forward. In return, we seek full membership, access to the scientific and cultural exchange the Council offers, and the opportunity to establish Earth outposts in Council space. Zara was silent for a long moment. You're proposing a fundamental shift in how the Council operates, Captain. I'm proposing an evolution, Stone corrected. One that the Pentar attack has proven is necessary. The discussion continued late into the night, philosophical at times, intensely practical at others. By the time they parted, nothing had been formally decided. But Zara found herself considering possibilities that would have been unthinkable before the Pentar attack. Over the next week, the UES Vanguard conducted what Captain Stone called security assessments throughout the sector, taking Council representatives aboard to witness firsthand how Earth combined diplomatic, scientific, and security operations. They visited trading outposts, scientific research stations, and even a disputed asteroid field where competing mining claims had created tensions between 2 Council species. At each location, the humans demonstrated their unique approach, establishing a security presence first, then engaging in diplomatic discourse from a position of strength. What initially seemed aggressive to Council observers gradually revealed its effectiveness. as potential conflicts were resolved without a single shot being fired, merely the implied capability to do so if necessary. During one such mission, Kor found himself working alongside the Vanguard's engineering team to upgrade the defenses of a vulnerable research outpost. The human engineers approached the task with a pragmatism that both impressed and disturbed him. "Your defensive shield designs are remarkable," Kor admitted as they worked. "But they consume enormous energy. Our systems can't sustain such power requirements." Chief Engineer Malik, a compact woman with quick hands and quicker eyes, nodded understanding. "That's why we're modifying the design. Your power generation is less efficient than ours, but your distribution networks are actually more sophisticated." She pointed to a holographic schematic. "By integrating our shield geometry with your distribution patterns, we can create a hybrid system that works with your existing infrastructure." Kor's compound eyes widened as he studied the design. "This could work for all Council installations." Malik nodded. "That's the idea. Minimal investment, maximum protection." She hesitated, then added, "Look, I know some of your Council members see us as too militant, but Earth learned its lessons the hard way. We nearly destroyed ourselves before we understood that strength must serve peace, not threaten it." Meanwhile, Dr. Mayer conducted medical exchanges with Council physicians, sharing Earth's advances in trauma medicine while learning the Council's impressive preventative care techniques. What began as cautious professional courtesy evolved into genuine scientific collaboration as both sides recognized the value in the other's approach. "Your regenerative therapies are far beyond our capabilities," Dr. Mayer acknowledged to her Council counterpart. "Combined with our emergency field procedures, we could revolutionize medical care throughout the galaxy." The most significant transformation, however, was occurring within Ambassador Zara herself. Having witnessed both the Pentar attack and the Earth response, she found her centuries of diplomatic certainty giving way to new perspectives. She spent hours reviewing historical records, searching for patterns the Council might have missed in its long peace. What she found disturbed her. The Pentar were not the only species to have rejected Council membership. Over the centuries, dozens of contacted civilizations had declined, often disappearing back into the vastness of space. The Council had always respected their choice, assuming they would return when ready for peaceful cooperation. But what if some, like the Pentar, had been building forces, viewing the Council not as a community to join, but as a resource to exploit? 6 months after the Earth delegation's arrival, the Council convened for a historic vote. The chamber was filled beyond capacity, representatives from all member worlds present for what many recognized as a turning point in galactic governance. "Before us today," Zara announced from the central podium, "is the proposal to establish the Galactic Security Alliance, a cooperative defense initiative with Earth as its founding external partner." The proposal detailed a comprehensive security framework. Council worlds would maintain their traditional diplomatic functions, while Earth provided defense technology, training, and, when necessary, direct intervention against threats. In return, Earth would receive full Council membership and authorization to establish bases throughout Council space, each serving as both diplomatic outposts and security hubs. "This represents a significant departure from Council tradition," Zara acknowledged. "For 5 centuries, we have maintained peace through diplomatic means alone. Today, we recognize that the galaxy is changing. The Pentar incident demonstrated that not all species share our commitment to peaceful coexistence." From his position in the observer's gallery, Captain Stone watched the proceedings with keen interest. The Vanguard had spent the intervening months conducting security operations throughout Council space, demonstrating Earth's capabilities while establishing relationships with individual member worlds. The results spoke for themselves. 3 attempted incursions by non-Council species had been deterred without bloodshed, simply by the Vanguard's presence. The proposal before us does not abandon our commitment to peace, Zara continued. Rather, it ensures that our peaceful intentions are backed by the capacity to defend them. Earth has demonstrated both the strength to deter aggression and the restraint to use that strength judiciously. The debate that followed was passionate, with some representatives arguing that incorporating Earth's military philosophy would fundamentally alter the Council's character. Others pointed to the Pentar attack as evidence that change was not merely advisable, but necessary for survival. In the end, the vote was decisive. The Galactic Security Alliance was approved by an overwhelming majority. Captain Stone was invited to the podium, where he and Ambassador Zara signed the historic agreement. Earth is honored to join the Galactic Council and to serve as the cornerstone of the new Security Alliance. Stone declared, "We pledge to defend the peace you have built, to respect the diplomatic traditions that have served the galaxy for centuries, and to stand as a shield against those who would threaten the prosperity of any Council world." Zara, performing the traditional Council gesture of welcome, felt a profound sense of transition. Captain Stone, with this agreement, we enter a new era of galactic cooperation, one that honors our peaceful past while securing our collective future. As the ceremony concluded and celebrations began throughout the station, Zara found herself standing once again at the observation viewport, where she had first awaited the Earth vessel's arrival. Captain Stone joined her, both of them gazing out at the stars in companionable silence. When the Vanguard first appeared, Zara finally said, "I feared we had invited a predator into our midst." Stone nodded. "You weren't entirely wrong, Ambassador. Humans are predators by evolution. We've simply learned to channel those instincts toward protection rather than conquest. A predator that hunts threats rather than prey," Zara mused. "Precisely." Stone turned to face her. "The Council's ideals of peace and cooperation are worthy ones. Ambassador, Earth doesn't seek to replace them, but to ensure they endure." Zara's gaze remained fixed on the stars. "I've spent my career believing that true peace comes from understanding, that violence can always be prevented through dialogue and compromise." "A noble belief," Stone acknowledged, "and often true. But peace isn't merely the absence of violence, Ambassador. It's the freedom to live without fear of it. Sometimes, ensuring that freedom requires the capacity for force and the wisdom to know when not to use it." Zara finally turned to meet his gaze. "I'm beginning to understand that, Captain." She gestured toward the viewport, where the Vanguard was visible, its dark hull reflecting the starlight. "Earth didn't send diplomats. They sent a dangerous ship, and perhaps that's exactly what the galaxy needed." In the months and years that followed, the partnership between Earth and the Galactic Council transformed the political landscape of known space. The Galactic Security Alliance expanded to include dedicated defense forces from member worlds, trained by Earth officers but operating under Council oversight, a balance of military capability and diplomatic restraint that proved remarkably effective. The Pentar, having tested the new alliance and found it formidable, eventually opened diplomatic channels, beginning the long process of integration into the galactic community they had once sought to dominate. General Malcor, initially defiant, gradually became a reluctant but pragmatic partner in establishing stable borders and trade agreements. Captain Stone and the Vanguard continued their patrols of Council space, their presence alone often sufficient to deter potential aggression. The ship that had once alarmed the Council with its military capabilities now represented the new order, peace maintained not through idealistic hope, but through demonstrated strength and unmistakable resolve. For Ambassador Zara, the transformation was both professional and personal. Having witnessed the effectiveness of Earth's approach, she became a leading advocate for the integrated security model, traveling throughout Council space to explain the new paradigm to member worlds. Where once she had championed peace through pure diplomacy, she now promoted a more nuanced philosophy, peace through preparedness. dialogue backed by strength, cooperation secured by the capacity to defend it. During one such diplomatic mission, she found herself aboard the Vanguard, standing on the bridge beside Captain Stone, as they approached a newly discovered civilization on the fringes of known space. "Our scans indicate they've recently achieved faster-than-light capability," Stone reported. "No signs of aggressive intent, but their vessel design suggests they prioritize defensive capabilities, not unlike Earth's early starships." Zara nodded, studying the data. "Then we shall approach as equals, respectful of their caution while demonstrating our own strength and peaceful intentions." She turned to Stone with a small smile. Earth's approach, adapted to Council diplomacy. Stone returned the smile. "A balanced path forward." As the Vanguard moved into position to make first contact with yet another species, Zara reflected on how far both she and the Council had come. The galaxy remained vast and full of unknown dangers. But for the first time in centuries, the Council was truly prepared to face them, not with naive optimism, but with realistic hope, backed by the capacity to defend the peace they had built. "Captain," she said quietly, "I believe we're ready to begin transmission." Stone nodded, and the signal was sent, a message of peace, an invitation to join the galactic community, and an unmistakable demonstration that this peace was protected by those willing and able to defend it. The dangerous ship that Earth had sent had changed everything, and in doing so, had secured the peaceful future the Council had always envisioned, not through idealistic hope, but through the pragmatic reality of strength in service to peace.